Just search for Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu lyrics and you'll find it. Sometimes when we have these special personalities appearance days, it's hard to appreciate them without understanding who they are and why they're so glorious. But actually we can't speak about them until we have their permission. And when we glorify them, we get their permission. If they're merciful to us. Is everything okay there? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Krishna Hare Krishna. So we're continuing with Madhya Leela, chapter 16, and we're going to do texts 146 through till 150. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We're going to recite 146 or 150. We normally do the last one. Last one? The one with the purple. So we'll recite that, yes? Okay, fine. So let's recite that one first, then put 150. Okay, so 150. Okay. Dui Raja Patraye Prabhu Sangeyaya. Rajapura Asi Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidhaya. Dui Raja Patraye Prabhu Sangeyaya. Rajapura Shi Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidhaya. Dui Raja Patraye Prabhu Sangeyaya. Rajapura Si Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidhaya.
Dui Rajpatra Jai Prabhu Sange Jaya. Rajpura Ashi Prabhu Tare Dilen Vidaya.
Dui Rajapatra Jai Prabhu Sange Jaya. Yajapuri Asi Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidaya.
Dui Rajapatraye Prabhu Sangeyaya. Yajapura Asi Prabhu Tare Dilene Vidaya.
Dui Rajpatra Jai Prabhu Sange Jaya. Rajapura Ashi Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidaya.
Dui Rajapatraye Prabhu Sangeyaya. Rajapura Si Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidhaya.
Dui Rajapatra Prabhu Sange Jaya.
Dui Rajapatraye Prabhu Sangeyaya.
Rajapura Asi Prabhu Tare Dilena Vidaya.
Rajapura Do any of the children want to have a go? Don't look away. I might pick on you more. No? No? That's sweet. Okay. Okay. Dui Rajapatra. The two government officers. Ye. Who? Prabhu Sange. With Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yaya. Go. Yajpur. Ashi. When coming to Yajpur. Prabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tare. Unto them. Dilena Vidaya. Bade farewell. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his party arrived at Yajpur, the Lord asked the two government officers who had come with him to return. I'm going to go back. So verse 146, I'll read through to 150. Similarly, tolerating separation from you, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has protected your vow with great endeavour. In this way, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya revived Gadadhar Pandit. Then both of them, very much grief-stricken, returned to Jagannath Puri, Nilachal. All the devotees would abandon all kinds of duties for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sake. Yet the Lord did not like the devotees giving up their promised duties. All these are the misgivings of loving affairs. Whoever listens to these incidents gets the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet very quickly. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his party arrived at Yajpur, the Lord asked the two government officers who had come with him to return. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The place called Yajpur is very well known in Orissa. It is a subdivision of the Cuttack district and is situated on the southern side of the Vetarani river. Formerly, great sages performed sacrifices on the northern bank of the Vetarani river. Consequently, the place is known as Yajpur, the place where sacrifices are performed. Some people say that this is one of the capital cities of King Yayati, and that from the name Yayati Nagara, the name Yajpur has come. As stated in the Mahabharata, Vanaparva, chapter 114, Etikalingaha konteya yatra Vaitarani nadi, yatra yajata dharmopi devan sharanam vai, atra vayarishayo nye chapura kraturbhir ijera. According to the Mahabharata, great sages formerly performed sacrifices in this place. There are still many temples of demigods and incarnations there, and there is also a deity of Sri Varahadev. This deity is especially important and is visited by many pilgrims. Those who worship the Supreme Lord's energy worship Varahi, Vaishnavi, and Indrani, as well as many similar forms of Devi, the internal energy. There are many deities of Lord Shiva, and there are many places along the river known as Dashashvamedha Ghat. Sometimes Yajpur is also called Nabhigaya or Viraj Kshetra. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yada Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagna Varita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Bhakta Radha Kanta Nustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Drishavamnustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapaturubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pave Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I don't need to catch you up too much because we had CC yesterday as well. So essentially we are at the scene where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has convinced Gadadhar Pandit to go back to worshipping Gopinath and to return to Jagannath Puri, Nilachal. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is trying to console Gadadhar Pandit. Throughout the CC, we will see multiple displays of affection, of yearning, of crying, a multitude of emotions. Sometimes you'll read about anger, sometimes you'll read about forgiveness, sometimes you'll read about extreme acts of tolerance and deep acts of humility. Sometimes the pastimes are a little confusing if you try and measure them by even devotional social standards. For example, when the Lord tries to, grab the feet of his spiritual masters, which one would think, well, that's normal, no? And his spiritual masters try to touch his feet back. I'm thinking, okay, well, hang on a minute. Aren't we supposed to learn from Lord Chaitanya's example? This can be quite bewildering. But whatever you see, whatever we read, it is rooted in this one very essential point. It is in the context of an attitude of service. Service steeped in humility. We hear about humility and servitude so much, we can often forget that it's not just a popularized paradigm of Vaishnavism or Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Actually, nothing Srila Prabhupada gave us was because it's popular, or because it's fashionable, or because it might get more followers, or because it's the vibe of the generation. Okay, nothing. Every single thing he gave us, right down to the service attitude, right down to why we cultivate humility. Okay, right down to why he insisted on calling everybody Prabhu and have everybody else call each other Prabhu, regardless of whether you're older, younger, what your position is. This mood of you are my master. It all came from Shastra. If you read CC and you read it closely, everything, the culture of devotional service that Srila Prabhupada has given us is exactly, precisely out of the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He has continued the atmosphere that was presiding over this planet at the time of Lord Chaitanya within this community, with the mood that it can go outside of this community so that the entire planet becomes the community of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so going back to parts of the CC and Shastra where we can remind ourselves, where did this mood come from? Why do we have this mood? Who propagates this mood? Is it just a few people? Has it been there since all of time? Actually, yes. It's been there since all of time, since the beginning. Because this service attitude, this mood of humility, this mood of das, anudas, 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 to the power of infinity, is there from the very beginning. And is there, seated within the very core and pervading the entire persona of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Today is Advaita Acharya's appearance day. One class cannot do justice to his glories, but if you want to know more about Advaita Acharya, even after today, the 6th chapter of the Adi Lila goes into more detail about Advaita Acharya. And then we find more of his pastimes in chapter 12 of the Madhya Lila. But before we go into specifically Advaita Acharya, I want to come back to this point about this attitude of servitude. And that's in this saying, it's explained in the 6th chapter, in verse 88. This 6th chapter, there's a lot of nectar. People often think that Adi Leela is just setting the scene and telling us who's who. But actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami isn't telling us who's who so that we just understand the setting of the scene in terms of a drama. But he's actually giving us the essential detail, not just of who's who, but the why of the who's who, what their purpose is. And actually, if you read the Adilya, you understand why we see these unusual behaviors and intense emotions expressed throughout the CC in the context of a loving competition to see who can serve the other person better. And then one of these verses, 688, is very, very key in this. The verse says, "The source of the sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. The plenary expansions who follow him are all influenced by their ecstasy." In verse 100, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells us the position of being a devotee is higher than that of equality with Lord Krishna. For the devotees are dearer to Lord Krishna than his own self. Krishna's first expansion and manifestation is the personification of service attitude. That says so much. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead to really fully be happy, to really fully experience everything, to really fully be Atmaram, for everything he makes to really function smoothly, to bring the highest point of happiness for every living entity and for himself. The first powerful mood that he manifests in his very, very first expansion is the personification and the personality of service. This is why we describe Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of service. And so his complexion reflects this. Is not just a fancy term, this is very clearly written in verse 88. And so every other tattva that comes from Lord Balaram also has this mood of servitude. This mood of, I am at your service. What about you? Jiva Tattva, Guru Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, Shiva Tattva. Every single Tattva that comes thereafter, every single expansion, is imbued with that mood of servitude. Srila Prabhupada explains that one of the reasons that this has to occur, okay, is because Krishna is the whole and the origin of everything and everyone else. He is conscious of his superior position. Yes, it moves back and forth. Of course Krishna has service attitude, it came from him. Otherwise Balaram wouldn't have it. But he remains aware. If you look at Krishna's pastimes, in all of his avatars, there is some awareness of his superiority. He constantly has to be cognizant to some level. That's why it leaks out a little bit here and there. Even when he is a son to Mother Yashoda, even when he's playing with the cowhead boys, even when he's with his gopis, there are certain times at which his superiority and his cognizance of it cannot help but come through. But then Yogamaya helps and she hides it again. But with Lord Balaram and everything and everyone else who emanates after him, because from Lord Balaram we get the four, Chatur Vyuha, the four different Vishnus, and from Shankarshan, which is the first manifestation from Balaram, we then get Mahavishnu, Sadashiv, we also get Kishordaksha Vishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, and so all of these different incarnations, all our Yuga avatars, all our Leela avatars, all of the jivas, all the different manifestations of Lord Shiva, and Guru Tattva. Anybody who comes within this line of disciplic succession, anybody who's endowed with Guru Tattva, Shiksha or Diksha, what are they imbued with? What are they endowed with? What are they empowered with? This mood of service, this awareness of I'm at your service in such a way that it overshadows. I mean, even Vishnu Tattva has this mood of where we see many instances where the mood of inferiority overshadows the mood of superiority. Think about it. When we are cognizant of our superior position, isn't it harder to serve? When you've tasted the sweetness of serving someone you love, and a Vaishnava's heart loves everyone, right? So the more you love Krishna, the more you love everyone, the more you're at everyone's service. The more you don't want to think about the superiority of your position, even when you have to take that role. It doesn't matter if your superiority is by age, spiritual advancement, or the role that you have in society, or the role that you have in relation to a devotee. Maybe you're their teacher. The ugliest thing after you've tasted the sweetness of service is to remember your superiority. Anybody who has tasted the sweetness of actually serving another person hates being glorified, not because they have self-esteem issues, because that's what genuine humility means. Genuine humility is that natural cognizance coming from Lord Balaram that I'm at your service. That is the sweetness, that is the heartbeat of every living entity. And Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is aware of his superior position, he yearns to feel the joy that the devotee feels without being cognizant of the superior position. And so he comes as Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani. It's such a high position. The position of being a devotee is higher than that of equality with Lord Krishna, for the devotees are dearer to Lord Krishna than his own self. There's such a sweetness there. He comes specifically in an incarnation to taste that sweetness. The sweetness that Lord Balaram and everyone else who follows Lord Balaram has access to, because they're able to experience both superiority and inferiority. So in this world, when we say perverted reflection, in this world the reflection is there is superiority and inferiority. It's just there wherever you look around you. Even if you don't see it, there's somebody out there who thinks they're better than you. Okay? There's superiority and inferiority. But it's twisted. Perversely is twisted. It's twisted because in this world we think being superior is going to give us joy. But actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead teaches us and shows us that the reality is the inferior position gives you the most joy, because that's where the heartbeat and the pulse of love, which is, what about you? I'm at your service. That's where you really hear it. That's where you really feel it. So much so that actually in this, if you look at the Panchatattva and the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, every single pastime, every single interaction, if you see it through the lens of every personality there is trying to be of greater service to the other. They're trying to disprove their superiority. They're trying to get away from remembering any superior position because it blocks this path. Even the gopis, even though they control Krishna with everything, they say we are simply your maidservants. These queens who have Krishna dancing on their little finger, we are simply your maidservants. We think about sweeping the floor for you. Want to clean the kitchen for you. How many wives feel like that? For their husbands, I really want to clean the kitchen floor for you. How many husbands feel like they even do the chores? No, but this is the actual mood. This is the actual mood, this yearning to be, I don't want to remember any superiority. This superiority gets in the way of tasting the sweetness of service. So having to exert any kind of superior position on anyone leaves a bad taste in the mouth of a devotee, because it blocks that feeling. And so it's really important that when I saw this verse again in chapter 6 about Balaram being literally the repository and the source of all attitudes of service. And we see this in Lord Balaram's pastimes. He serves in every single rasa. But then every single other incarnation thereafter also has this mood. Now when Lord Chaitanya comes, remember, it doesn't just give Lord Chaitanya and actually Krishna the chance to experience the sweetness of the mood of service, the mood of being the servant, the mood of being the devotee. And so he comes with the mood of Srimati Radharani. But actually it gives any other avatar and many other avatars, and actually all of them, if you look at it, a chance in one sense to also experience that sweetness. Because if we look at Panchatattva, if we look at the associates of Lord Chaitanya, many of Lord Chaitanya's associates are associates of Balaram, associates of Srimati Radharani, associates of Krishna. They're directly from Vrindavan. We hear so much that Chaitanya Charitamrita is literally the manifestation of Vrindavan, quite literally. But also, many of the personalities are the different incarnations of Krishna, because they also then get to forget their superior position and enjoy the path and the emotion of being a devotee, of being a servant. Shri Advaita Acharya is one such personality. When we look at Panchatattva, okay, the truth or the paradigm of the divine five, okay. So we have Lord Chaitanya, who is Radharani and Krishna combined, so his golden complexion. We have Nityananda Ram, who is literally non-different to Balaram. Okay, he's the source and the seat of this service attitude, and he is Guru Tattva. And we have Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu and Sadashiv. Okay, both. Mahavishnu, he is the source of all of material creation. That's a pretty superior position, right? He lies in the causal ocean. From every single, there's a picture of him there. From every single pore of his body comes a universe, like a golden egg. Then he expands again and he lies at the base of every single universe. And at the base of every single universe, from his navel comes a lotus flower. And from that lotus flower is born Brahma. Always with Vishnu is Anantashesh. That mood of service, Lord Balaram. He expands again, and every living entity's heart as a Paramatma. Kishore Dakshaya Vishnu is also the source of all the different Dasavatar and different Leela avatars, etc. And he's in every single atom and molecule. Again, pretty superior positions. You have to remember your superior position. Every universe is coming out of the pore of my body. Every living entity has to merge into me. That service attitude is there. We hear about it when we read Vishnu's pastimes. For example, when Bhrigu Muni kicks him in the chest, his humility shows, right? He says, "Is your foot okay? Is your foot okay?" So it doesn't take offense at all. So we see glimpses, but actually, when Mahavishnu and Sadashiv come as Advaita Acharya, they really, really get to experience what it's like to be a devotee. So the life and personality of Advaita Acharya is very special. In the first chapter of Adi Leela, there are 14 principal verses. 6 of them describe Lord Chaitanya, 5 describe Lord Nityananda, 2 describe Advaita Acharya, and 1 describes Panchatattva. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami elaborates on all of these. And the 2 that he describes Advaita Acharya, he explains that Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu, and he also explains that he's Sadashiva. But he explains some more meanings around why he's called Advaita Acharya. Now, some people, maybe it's your first time here or you're just starting to come, you may have only heard of the term Advaita in terms of Advaita and Dvaita philosophy, right? Non-dualistic and dualistic philosophy. But actually the reason he's called Advaita is because he's non-different to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Acharya because he comes to teach us Vedanta and Bhakti. And that's Sadashiva's mood, right? Sadashiva's a guru, and he teaches. So that's why he's called Advaita Acharya. It's not because he propagates, non-dualism and impersonalism. It is because he is non-different to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is an Acharya. He's come as a devotee, but he's come to propagate. Him and Lord Nityananda specifically have this very important role as spiritual masters. So it explains also that, and actually Srila Prabhupada, he's very clear to clarify this position of Advaitavad and Dvaitavad. Okay, so if you look at Vedic philosophy, you look across India, you look at this umbrella term, not just India, I think the world over, this umbrella term of Hinduism, you'll get those who say they're Dvaita or Dvaita, and they'll get into big debates, but actually we follow Vedanta, which is the perfect combination and interplay of Advaita and Dvaita. And that is Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. That is what Lord Chaitanya came to give us. It's important we know these things, not because we want to become great philosophers, not because we are looking for great debates. Most of us are not even going to get into that kind of debate. But when we understand Tattva, we represent Srila Prabhupada properly. Because you never know who he's going to send to purify us or test us. And we don't represent him properly when we have no answers to why we believe what we believe. The holy names are going to spread in every single town and village. That is inevitable. It is inevitable. What kind of a soldier are we going to be in Lord Chaitanya's army? Are we going to be the one who has to run and hide to the back out of embarrassment because we don't actually know what's going on? Or can we stand, very happily and share that actually, even though this is the most blissful thing, the most wonderful thing, it's not sentimental. This is not just some movement based on, sentimental following or blind faith, or because there's good social structure, or because the prasadam's delicious, or because people find good marriage partners. None of these things. People join religious communities for those kinds of things all the time. Okay, you look at a lot of missionary work. A lot of missionary work is rooted in, and the spreading of religions is rooted in people being saved from famine, hunger, disaster, having been given, facility to have families and businesses. Yes, we take care of people's secondary needs, but the primary thing is that every single aspect is deeply rooted in the absolute truth. And we have the absolute truth in the pages of Sisi, in the pages of Bhagavatam, in the pages of Bhagavad Gita, and the absolute truth in the purports of Srila Prabhupada, because he never, ever shifted from the absolute truth. He never diluted it, he never misrepresented it. He did not care about followers who just followed for the wrong reasons, okay? For superficial reasons. Because the process of the chanting of the holy name is so perfect. Now, Sukadeva Goswami declares this to Parikshit Maharaj very boldly, that chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the doubtless and fearless way of success in spiritual life. Doubtless and fearless. That's a 100% watertight guarantee. So Sri Prabhupada knew that. It doesn't matter what your kali, your caste, your creed, your understanding of Shastra, your secondary motivations, your mixed motivations, doesn't matter. The holy name will work. Because this is also what Shukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj. It doesn't matter if you have lots of material desires, or you're free of material desires, or you're self-satisfied, still chant the holy names of the Lord. Because it is perfect for everyone at all times, especially one who is about to die. So, whenever Krishna appears, he always sends his associates first. He also sends his energies, make preparations. But he also creates a dynamic and a lila that sets the stage for why and how he is invited. If you look at every other avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why are they called? Who's calling them? The devotees are calling them, but why are they calling them? They're usually calling them because there's some demon who's creating havoc, right? When Lord Ram comes, he's called to defeat who? Ravan. When Hiranyaksha comes, Varaha comes, who is he called? By and for. He's called by Brahma. Brahma's just thinking, I must consult with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's this, these two brothers, they're wreaking havoc. Just by Brahma's intense thinking, Varaha comes out of his nostril. Okay, because of his intense prayers. Bhumi is also praying, please save me. So, Varaha comes very chivalrously and he saves her. Very romantic. You would never think that a pastime between a boar and a planet Earth would be romantic. But read it, third canto. Very, very sweet. Very sweet. Any of these personalities, even, if you look at Krishna's appearance, for guns, there's some distress. But when Lord Chaitanya comes, who does he come for? He comes the begging and the praying and the crying and the yearning of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya lived and appeared in Shantipur, not far at all from Antardweep, where Mayapur is, where Yogapith is, where Lord Chaitanya appeared, not far from there at all. And he worshipped the Lord with tulsi leaves and a little bit of water. That's it. Why? Because Krishna says in Shastra that he can be bought with tulsi and a little bit of water. So actually, Advaita Acharya is middle-aged. He's spent most of his life teaching bhakti. But he's not crying and yearning for the Lord because he's fearful of his life. He's fearful there's a demon wreaking havoc. He's crying and yearning because he sees that in this age of Kali Yuga, even though he's trying to teach bhakti, people are lost, they're confused, their own minds have become the demons that fight them. Okay, we read this in Shastra, right, that in Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotee reside within the same person. Previously they were separated by planetary systems in different countries, then in different cities, and now within the same person. If your own self is attacking yourself, who can save you? Who can save you? So this is as Advaita Acharya as a teacher of bhakti and paradukha dukhi. This is the Guru's mood. Right? This is actually the Vaishnav's mood. Srila Prabhupada shares this, and we see this throughout CC, that actually this yearning and care and crying out for everybody to have access to bhakti. It is a natural manifestation of the heart when one takes up this process. You can't help it. People ask, how do I know this is working? It's one is you get the taste, more taste for the names, pastimes of Krishna and his associates. Another one is your service attitude, the desire to forget your superiority, just remember you're everyone's servant. But the other very strong thing that manifests is a burning fire in your heart to share this message with others, and in a way that really deeply penetrates. It's not about numbers. It really becomes about boiling the milk. Prabhupada, and we have Her Grace Guru Charana Padma Devi here, she knows what Prabhupada, she knows better than all of us, up close and personal experience of how Srila Prabhupada was so personal, how he loved each and every disciple independent of their body and their position, and deeply invested in each and every one of them. You watch Prabhupada videos, that's one thing that will move you. It doesn't matter what the setting of the pastime, how much time each of those personalities spent with Prabhupada, but they will all testify to the fact that Srila Prabhupada was extremely personal. His heart burned with the fire to give bhakti. There's this really nice audio that is sometimes shared as a video clip where Srila Prabhupada is talking about the humility with which one should offer Krishna something, you know. And then he's praying like this. He's saying, you know, I'm a rascal, but please accept this from me. And his voice cracks. He becomes choked up. It's really very moving. But the Vaishnava doesn't have just that feeling towards Krishna. He has that feeling for every living being. That's why Prabhupada didn't discern who he gave it to. He also didn't discern who he would empower and endow with the ability to share Krishna consciousness, both with Shiksha and Diksha. And this is Advaita Acharya's mood as well. So actually, even though Advaita Acharya, he'd reached his middle age, so he was significantly older than Lord Chaitanya. A little bit more about Advaita Acharya is he's the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Srila Ishvara Puri is also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Lord Nityananda is also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Haridas Thakur is a disciple of Advaita Acharya. Srila Ishvara Puri is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya, which makes Advaita Acharya not just senior in age to Lord Chaitanya, but senior because he's his spiritual master's godbrother. And but Advaita Acharya, you know, he sits on the bank of the Ganga and he petitions, he cries, he begs. He says, you know, people are so self-envious in Kali Yuga. It is so hard to give them bhakti. Please, will you come? I want to share something from Chaitanya Bhagavat, from the Madhya Kand. Advaita Acharya said, if you will distribute devotional service, then also give it to the less intelligent persons, including the women and Shudras. Let all the sinful people who are proud of their education, wealth, high birth, and austerities, and those who place obstacles in the path of your devotees and your devotional service burn to death. And let all others, including the dog-eaters, dance while singing your holy names and qualities. Hearing Advaita's statement, the Lord roared loudly and said, whatever you say will be fulfilled. The entire world is witness to these words, for the Lord's mercy was distributed to the foolish and fallen. It is very clear in this, very clear, that Advaita Acharya's petition and request, Lord Chaitanya makes Prema Bhakti and the holy names, which are usually in previous ages only available to certain types of people, okay? Available to everybody. Doesn't matter what their past history is, doesn't matter what type of birth they had. Rich, poor, ugly, beautiful, dog-eater, woman, Shudra, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how you identify yourself. You know? And you can have it. But what excludes you is if you're proud of any of that. If you are proud of this body, burn to death. Pretty heavy. Trinadapi sunichana. It's not just one, it's not just Lord Chaitanya who is saying this. When I say just, that's not to minimize Lord Chaitanya. It's not a new one. I'm trying to say it's not a new thing just for Kali Yuga Bhakti. It's not a new thing. It's always been there. More tolerant than a tree, lower than a blade of grass. This mood, just let me forget any superiority. What's the lowest thing on the ground? Grass. What's the most immovable thing that we know? A tree. And why tolerant? People do all sorts of things around trees and on trees and in trees. A tree doesn't say anything. It doesn't say I'm moving. You know, I'll just uproot and move to another place. The birds here are not very nice to me. It stays, it tolerates. And it bows with the weight of its fruit. So this is Advaita Acharya, in one sense, as the spiritual master, sets the paradigm and the criteria for who is qualified to obtain devotional service. It's not your body. He qualifies who can have bhakti and who can share bhakti. That's because Lord Chaitanya says, I want everyone. He says to everyone, become guru, teach, share, teach. This is what does guru mean? Become a servant. This is the spiritual master's prime duty, is to teach the disciple how to become a servant. The biggest austerity of the spiritual master is to remember their superiority. Because it's horrible and it's ugly once you've tasted the sweetness of service. So, the only thing that disqualifies us is pride. The minute we become proud of anything, forget it. Forget it. So much so, we see this mood in all of Lord Chaitanya's associates, including Advaita Acharya. Even though Advaita Acharya is elder to him, even though he is as good as his spiritual master, even though it's because of him that Krishna comes, because of his crying out. Advaita Acharya doesn't like being superior. He just wants to fall at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. He just wants to serve him. He loves to cook for him. He loves to care for him. He never wants to be separated from him. He doesn't like it when Lord Chaitanya pays his respects. Okay, and then see, we hear there's one pastime. It's the last thing I'm going to share, and I want to hear from you. There's this beautiful pastime where Advaita Acharya, in order to not be glorified by Lord Chaitanya, in order for him to not offer his respects, he starts preaching impersonal philosophy. You know? And you might read that past. There's all these, like, on the surface, wonky appearing pastimes. Like, what? Why would you purposefully aggravate the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You know, why would you do that? He's happy with you. Don't you just want him to be happy with you? But he doesn't want him to see him as superior. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to. He's like, I'm on Vishnu, I have to be superior. I don't want to be superior anymore. So he creates this situation where he just goes and he starts to preach this, impersonalist philosophy. He's like, okay, that will really annoy Lord Chaitanya. Then he won't think we're superior anymore. And Lord Chaitanya, yes, he becomes angry, he becomes very annoyed, and he runs to Advaita Acharya and he starts to beat him. Okay, now ordinarily if you read about beatings, you might go, are you sure this is a sacred text? We're reading about beatings. But in CC, anything goes. He's always steeped in the mood of service. It's so important for us to understand our sattva is steeped in service. And he starts to beat him. Does Advaita Acharya start complaining, I'm going to report him for beating me? No, he starts dancing in ecstasy. He starts dancing in ecstasy. Yes, I don't have to remember I'm superior anymore. Finally, he doesn't worship. He's so happy. He's so happy. You know, this mood, because he knows, he feels how much it interferes with bhakti, this remembering that I'm superior. So we can take a lot from Advaita Acharya. We can really ask inside our hearts, because every day, every moment is an opportunity for us to develop two things: the deep desire, the deep yearning to call and invite Krishna into our hearts, because quite frankly, we are constantly attacked by our own self-envy. Until your mind is your friend and has paved the royal road to your real identity and ragatmika bhakti, until that point comes, and even when that point comes, even when you know what that royal road looks like, there's still Maya is strong. Until that point, self-envy is very, very predominant. So this yearning, we can imbibe that mood from Advaita Acharya. How much do we petition every single day? Please come. Please help me. I'm being attacked by the demons I've chosen to stay in my heart. And the other thing is, please help me to forget my superiority. Help me to forget my superiority. Because I have no superiority. And last but not least, please alight and ignite in my heart the fire to share your glories and this glorious process with every single entity anywhere and everywhere, for all time. Every single personality in every single manifestation of the Lord is perfect and perfectly wonderful. But in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva and all the other associates, the Goswamis, all of their assistants, we get a sweetness that is not obvious. It has to be searched for in the other pastimes. Here it's just there. The question is, how much sugar can you tolerate? So, all glories to Advaita Acharya. Please, over to you. Please share your realizations, your comments, your questions, your corrections, anything you have. Huh? I didn't hear. You've always got a comment. Yes, please. They are always welcome.
He was such an old man, too. And the other thing is, the one thing you realise is in an appreciation of the Gayatri Mantra is that you see how Lord Brahma has built stepping stones all the way through. From Brahma, he wanted to help people that were coming in the world and pass on the knowledge. And it's amazing that you can see this because it goes from Brahma, to Guru, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This wonderful.
Prabhu, speak into the mic, please.
Sorry, the wonderful stepping stones the Gayatri Mantra has. I didn't appreciate it at first, but you can see, the more you do it, the more you see how Lord Brahma wanted to rescue us. Through Guru and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, that's really, it was, as this thing is, the more you do it, you just appreciate it. No, it takes me time.
Beautiful, thank you so much. Yes, actually in the third canto, Srila Prabhupada explains that Brahma was very cognizant of the purpose of creating the material world was actually to pave a path back to Krishna. Ultimately, it's not really to separate us. We think it's to separate us because we want to be separated. But Krishna empowers Brahma to create in such a way that there's a way back. Brahma also wants to taste the sweetness of forgetting his superiority. Who does he come as? Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur's eternal mantra is, I am the lowest and most fallen. And in this mood, he chants incessantly and is our Namacharya. So thank you for reminding us of the glorious personality of Brahma. Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu. Can we give him the mic, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So my question is as we have talked about the Bhakti Yoga and the Supreme Lord always, I haven't read any Bhagavatam or anything else,
sure.
But in Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna always tells us to do Bhakti and then go to Him in Golaka Vrindavan. My question is if you want all of us to go to the Golaka Vrindavan doing devotional service on Him, why, as being a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, why did He send us here to do all this kind of karmas and everything?
All this kind of stuff? Okay, every living entity has free will. Love is a choice. We're not slaves to Krishna. So every living entity, because Krishna has free will, so every living entity has free will. He doesn't force us to come here. In fact, he tells us not to come here. And it's not the majority of souls who come here, it's the minority. So some souls say, no, I want to go and see what it's like to be independent of you. I want to know what it's like to be superior. I want to know what it's like to forget my inferiority. So in order to do that, Krishna says, you can't leave a time that doesn't exist because there's no time in the spiritual world. You can't leave a place that is everywhere. So the only way to separate from him, and Brahma has to create this, is the 5 types of self-deception. which include we forget Krishna, we forget ourselves, and we forget our relationship with him. And only when there's forgetfulness of an identity do we start creating new identities. Look, even in this world, if someone has amnesia and they forget their past family and their past life, if there's no recollection of that memory, they start to create a new life, because it's our nature to connect, it's our nature to know, it's our nature to have an identity, to be, to have loving relationships. So even though we separate from him and we forget our eternal identity, we look in this place to try and find that same connection of being steeped and saturated in loving exchanges. But material energy, when separated from Krishna, doesn't satisfy us. But these same things that make up our getaway car, right? This forgetfulness creates what we all are. Everything we have, down to the color of our hair, is chosen by us, right? Based on, this is what I want things to look like to get away from you. They can all be turned around and face Krishna and go back, because every single aspect of us can be engaged in Krishna's service. But that's when we say, I want to love you. I want to exercise my free will to return to that original loving state. Free will is an essential part of love. Love is a choice and love is a verb. And Krishna never takes away that choice from us. He doesn't force us to come here, but if we insist, he says, so be it. But he always has his loving hand reaching out so we can grasp it at any time. That loving hand manifests as his devotees, scriptures, the saints and teachers, and he follows us around as a super soul and as a super friend in our heart.
So basically it was our choice to go.
Absolutely.
Then if we want, then we are allowed to go to Golaka Vrindavan and serve him in there then, basically.
Absolutely. And that's what Lord Chaitanya has given us. He's given us the easiest way to do that. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. He doesn't accept any offense. The Panchatattva don't accept any offense. They're not like the other incarnations where they're here to annihilate the demons with weapons. What they're here to do is the things that block us, the demons within us and around us, they just transform them with love. So love is the path. Love paves the way.
And this last one.
Sure.
I have heard in YouTube that Kesava Swami saying that there will be always someone who won't be the devotee.
There will always be someone who won't be a devotee.
Who won't be the devotee. And then why they won't be the devotee? Mm-hmm. Because it's like everyone wants to be the devotee and go back to the Lord.
Yes. With respect to Maharaj and editing team of videos, and knowing Maharaj, there will always be someone who isn't a devotee yet. I would just add yet to that sentence, because eventually everybody does. We can only be stupid for so long, and we can only be ignorant for so long, okay? Because Lord Chaitanya and his associates and Srila Prabhupada have made sure that somehow or another this message will reach everyone. So when nobody lacks spirituality, you are spirit soul, whether you know it, whether you don't know it, whether you believe it. What people lack is the knowledge of who they are. And so, yes, there will always be someone who isn't a devotee because they don't know that they are one yet. So, as well as growing in that side yourself, we also help others. And we do that by book distribution, Harinam, teaching. Yes?
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And welcome to the community. Shama Vallabha Gopi. Put your hand high up so they can see.
Okay. So this may be a bit of a contradictory question, but I was trying to understand one of the things you said when we advance, we want to preach to everybody. And you also said that when we you have to try and maintain that inferior position. Now, naturally, when you preach, you've got someone's looking up to you. How do you prevent that sort of feeling that I am superior to this person because I'm teaching them? Because that's not, then that blurs the boundaries. So how do you protect yourself there?
Anybody who's been, and when I'm saying preaching doesn't just mean speaking and giving class. We actually primarily preach through our behavior. Through our practices. When people see, wow, this person's so happy, what do you take? I say, I take the holy name. Why are you always smiling? You know? Why are you always joyful? How come you're so successful? I take the holy name. You know, so But any kind of sharing, any time by Krishna's grace, you're allowed to see that maybe you had some sort of influence in someone's life. Actually, the more you do it, the more you realize it was nothing to do with you. So it becomes very easy to give up the superior position. We tend to have that superior position whilst we are still quite conditioned. And I'm not saying that's okay as in keep it. What I'm saying is that's okay in that it's part of showing us which demons still reside within us. Because yes, you're right. But just because somebody else sees us as superior doesn't mean we hold on to that mentality.
Yeah.
Yes, we still see ourselves as a servant. Srila Prabhupada always said to his disciples, you are my spiritual masters. My spiritual master has sent you to help me. I worship you. He had gratitude, but he executed the role of being their teacher perfectly. Right? Perfectly. He didn't forget that. He didn't say, oh, because I always want to be in a service attitude, just do whatever you want with worshipping the deities you know better than me.
Yeah.
Okay? Dress them however you want. The deity can, because, I really want to keep this. No, we're willing, one is willing to do whatever it takes to make someone else's devotional life flourish, even if it means acting in the role of a superior. But it is acting. One keeps that mood that I'm your servant.
Okay.
And I'm always the servant, and I'm always a disciple. Every teacher, this is why this parampara is bona fide. This is why the philosophy remains unchanged. This is why it works, is because there's every single teacher, every type of teacher has this mood that I am a disciple, and that is the pervading mood. I'm servant, I'm disciple. I'm always learning, I'm always a student. And I want you to be better than me. Yes?
Thank you. That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Oh, Mother Guru? I have, okay.
Krishna, thank you so much for a wonderful class, Tridi Shakti. When you were talking about the sweetness and how much sweetness can we take, I was reminding of the loving exchanges that we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but specifically was meditating on the loving mock quarrels that Advaita Acharya would have with Nityananda.
Yes.
One time they were taking prasadam, also Lord Chaitanya was there, and Lord Nityananda started throwing Mahaprasadam on Advaita Acharya. And he said, oh, you've made me impure, you rascal. And he said, well, you're a rascal. You don't know prasadam. It can never be impure. I've purified you. So these kind of, it just shows that within our relationships with each other, there's also the kind of loving fun and games on a spiritual level. And Beautiful. We even witness this today. Sometimes we see, some of our, esteemed gurus and teachers having these kind of laughs and kind of play, kind of games with each other, but it's all just full of sweetness and love. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. Yes, being in an inferior position only brings sweetness. One doesn't see, when we're in a superior position, we hold that. We may even take Shastra to hurt other people. But actually, as we see in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and actually Krishna, now you see him with Madhumangal. Madhumangal uses Shastra to joke with Krishna. Oh, you just have these opulences because I'm a Brahmin. Because you've got me as your Brahminical friend. That's why you're always protected. And that's why you can fight all these demons. So similarly, as Mother Guru was so beautifully describing, there's these jokes. This is the laughter movement. Okay, we laugh with love. Okay, we don't use philosophy to beat each other up. we use philosophy to lift each other up. Yes. So this exchange with Nityananda, he's throwing rice on Advaita Acharya, and he starts to dance in ecstasy. So, your Mahaprasad has touched my body. So 1 minute ago, he's insulting him and saying, you're just a mendicant. 1 palmful of rice should be enough. Because Nityananda's looking at this feast and saying, you haven't made enough. I'm so hungry. I've been fasting for 3 days. Lord Chaitanya is saying, I'm a sannyasi. I can hardly eat anything. I'm not supposed to eat so much. Advaita Acharya is just feeding him, saying, oh, in Nilachala's Jagannath, you eat 54 preparations all day long, every day. You can eat more than a palmful. Lord Chaitanya's like, I can't. I'm a sannyasi. So he's saying one thing to him. And Lord Nityananda's like, I've been fasting for 3 days, traveling with Lord Chaitanya. What is this tiny, measly amount of prasadam you've made? And Advaita's like, you're just a traveling mendicant. Just eat your one palmful and be quiet, you know? It's just, so they're using Shastra to lift each other up. Lift each other up. So let's take in this spirit. Let's be joyful in our Krishna consciousness. Let's lift each other up. There is, you know, there's not that much fun in always being right. There really isn't. It is overrated. Give yourself permission to be wrong sometimes and have a little fun. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Advaita Acharya ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande. A naughty comment. Oh, it's... You mean it's slanting?
Yeah. We call
Is that is the phrase you use from your parts?
Ski whiff.
Ski whiff, that's from your parts, isn't it?
Yeah. And you see, and every time they redecorate, and it's still back to its original position, ski whiff.
All right, can somebody please sort out the ski whiff on the picture? Anyway.
No, it's old English, actually.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Radha Gokulananda ki jai. Hare Krishna.